Big exciting news as hazard pay is back on, baby. Hazard pay for essential workers, if you working during the pandemic, have worked, will work, is back on. Restaurants is included. And, that includes the casino. So I was at the casino last night, and Sir Lloyd's like, the casino is essential. I'm like, yeah, apparently so. And I'm essential. I'm a cow. Well, not all cows are essential. Well, the ones that work on farms are. Yes, I said that's exactly true. Anyone that's a farmer, anyone that does agriculture, absolutely covered as hazard pay. Anyone who works in a restaurant, absolutely covered as hazard pay. What if I drive a cow a lot? Is that covered? No, just, unless you're driving people around. What if I'm driving them to get their hair done? Well, if you're driving them to a San Francisco hairstyle, that's not an essential worker. Hey, good afternoon, everybody. This is LALATE, and I hope you're having a great afternoon. This is Purple with incredible details about hazard pay as hazard pay is back on. EIDL grant, the remainder of $10,000 EIDL grant, the remainder of your $10,000 EIDL grant could be coming to you. Hazard pay could be coming to you. And what else could be coming to you? A lot of name calling from congressional leaders today. I'll be going over that trash talking, which is much of nothing, and it has nothing to do with you, but I know a lot of you have been asking. Moreover, there's new concerns today about the importance for hazard pay as Chicago goes on lockdowns. Goes on lockdown. One viewer said Indianapolis is going on lockdown. Curfews are being announced for New York, and other cities across the country could be on lockdown in the coming weeks. More about that in a second. If you've not subscribed to this channel, please do. Go to the front of this channel, subscribe, because together we're getting through this to the finish line. Yesterday had some incredible breaking news, and there was some outages, power outages on YouTube, so you may have missed some recordings. And so what I may be doing is updating a little bit of the information you heard yesterday, but there may be some repeating, because a lot of people missed videos. Also, like this video, it really helps in the algorithm. You're doing a great job. We're adding about 8,000, 9,000 likes of videos, so just incredible. In this video, I'll be going over hazard pay. I'll be going over hazard pay so you're prepared for Purple Power Live at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, in which I answer your questions about hazard pay. Then I'll be going over EIDL grants, the remainder of that grant. I'll be going more over stimulus check, how much stimulus check, and the issue of lockdown stimulus checks, which was all over broadcast news today. And finally, I'll be going over the shadiness and the silliness and the pettiness that came out of congressional leaders today. Yeah, I heard it. It means much of nothing. Let's get to the breaking news. The breaking news as you sit here today is that hazard pay is back on, baby. Back on, as Joe Biden, the president-elect, announced hazard pay is back in there. And he announced it in his transition papers just hours ago and over the weekend. And he announced it on his campaign stop. What I need to explain to you today, which this is sort of breaking news, is that hazard pay is going to get modified. It's going to get modified in a lot of regards. First, it'll get modified about who are essential workers. Second, it'll get modified about the amount. And third, other things could get modified. What should the followers of this channel be trying to get modified? The application process. You now understand from me recording every day at 4 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, hazard pay videos for upwards of 4 months, that there's one shortcoming of the hazard pay provision. And that is that employers apply for you, not you, and that they may apply and then don't have to apply. What's important to understand as we sit here today and we talk about hazard pay, we talk about EIDL grants, and we talk about stimulus checks, I want you to understand the following. I'm going to say it right off the bat. Joe Biden is Joe Biden. He is not the Temple of Doom. He's not Mitch McConnell. He's not Chuck Schumer. He's going to do his version of doing things. And to say this in the most respectful way, Joe Biden has been in Congress longer than all these people nearly combined. Joe Biden became a senator at age 30 in 1974. Temple Doom, Chuck Schumer, and Mitch McConnell were nowhere to be seen at that time. And so Joe Biden knows how to do bills, and you're not going to tell Joe Biden to go do someone else's bill. He will do it the way he wants to do it. So I already see some people in the comments saying, well, she and he and they. No, He's the president. He's going to say the way he's going to want it done. And that's the way it's going to get done. And ultimately, the only thing that will be really negotiated on is term of coverage, how many months, and the amount. Because that's really the only big issue that Mitch has an issue about, the amount. In this video, I want to explain that minutes ago, a big breaking news revealed that the national debt has now doubled in the last year because of the first stimulus package. Mitch is certainly going to repeat that as many times as he can. The national debt is really big. Jerome Powell says that's fine. You can still afford hazard pay and all these other things. You can raise the national debt. So let me turn to hazard pay's provisions and stimulus checks and more about the EIDL grant. And let me start with this. These are what the HEROES Act, which is not what Joe Biden's going to finish with, that's where we're starting with, said were the classifications for essential workers. Healthcare, including pharmacies, medical testing, public health, social services, and others, groceries, restaurants, food production, transportation, including drivers, airplane mechanics, and dock workers, warehouses, cleaning and maintenance, waste disposal, news media, government employees deemed essential, education, laundry, elections, hazardous materials, disinfectant services, clinical research, mortuary services, physical therapy, dentistry, U.S. Postal Services, lodging facilities. So you see in there, education is included. Teachers are in that list. But if there was anything that was shortcoming in that list, guess what? Joe Biden's going to revise it. Joe Biden, in fact, over the weekend announcing hazard pay, put teachers as the first name, as the first classification in his press release about hazard pay. Teachers, comma, fire and rescue, comma. I don't think I've ever heard an elected official put teachers first in their delineation. And that's what's important, is that you see classifications now. I'm going over on Purple Power Live when we live chat. It's a live broadcast at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 9 Eastern Standard Time. I'm answering your questions about essential workers every night. And ultimately, I want to say that Joe Biden may expand this, and it makes sense to expand it. It doesn't make sense to contract it. So how would it calculate? It would be $13 an hour for every hour you worked from January 27th of this year, 2020, until 60 days after the pandemic ends, which could be middle of next year, up to a certain threshold. Okay, Mitch would do that because Mitt Romney, who's more of a moderate Republican, like that number. The question is, how high is the total not payout? That's where it's going to get pulled back in. Mitch won't do $10,000 a lump sum. He'll do smaller. He won't do the $5,000 other lump sum. He'll do something contracting smaller. But he'll do that. He's talked about the importance of supporting essential workers. And the Republicans and the Democrats can't look like they don't care a darn about essential workers. I mean, it's sort of ridiculous. And you know what's interesting is that as Chicago goes on lockdown, announced today, and other cities are going on lockdowns, and COVID cases are reaching 144,000 per day now, and you have ICU at heading to full capacity in some cities, you can't sit back and say, oh, you know what, deal with the hazard pay yourself. I don't think any Republican or Democrat can get away with that. I really don't. It's so outlandish that they have to pay something. And so the great news is that you're going to get paid. The question is how much. And so that's the spirit of the Purple Power. You need to be on social media and sharing this video, hashtag Purple Power Hazard Pay. Need to make sure the message is very loud and clear. Now, what's important to understand is that we're focused on numbers. We're focused on eligibility. And you all, and myself, hate, I mean, there's no word that I can say that's sugarcoat this, hate the provision that says the employer applies for you if they feel in the mood to do it. Excuse me? I risk my life and then you're going to apply if you feel in the mood to do it? What is this? Needless to say, that provision needs to get changed, and things will get changed. What's important to understand is that Joe Biden writes his own bills. He writes a lot of bills, and as he said in his statement over the weekend, I will write as many bills as I need to get us out of this pandemic. That's incredibly great news. So you need to be on social media and tag Biden, tag his transition team, and say, hey, take that provision out that says the employer applies for hazard pay. It should be the employers, the employees, us. We apply for our own hazard pay. I mean, if you have time sheets, you have your time stamps, you could submit your own documentation. Why does the employer have to do it? Employers don't even want to do it because it's too much work on their regard. Now, some of you may ask you, did you see Nancy's comments today? Did you see Chuck Schumer's comments today? Did you see Mitch's comments today? Yeah, I see everyone's comments. I see your comments about their comments. Is there anything substantive in there? No. Did they sound like they're talking as though we're back in July of 2020? Yes. Did it sound partisan? Oh, absolutely. Is it anything that's going to happen with Joe Biden? Absolutely not. So why is it happening? Let me explain why it's happening before I get to EIDL grant and stimulus check. It's happening because there's a Georgia race. Actually, it's two Georgia races, two Georgia Senate races. And if both seats go Democrat, Mitch will not be in control of the Senate. If one seat goes Democrat, Mitch will be in control of the Senate. And so they're trying to ramp up their base for partisan purposes going into that Georgia race, which is a few weeks away. They're not here to help you. They're here just get publicity for their angst and get people excited for something that has nothing to do with you. Let's go to some stimulus checks. Stimulus. So what's important to understand is that the stimulus checks do not replace, supplement, or contradict something else. So when we talk about that unused CARES Act 1 money, and we talk about Joe Biden wanting to give you multiple stimulus checks, and we talk about Senator Harris, now VP Harris, want to send you $2,000 a month for every month for 6 months until the pandemic goes away or unemployment goes down. We're talking about a lot of stimulus checks, and they don't replace hazard pay. So the fact that you would get hazard pay does not mean you would get hazard pay or stimulus checks. The fact that you get a stimulus check would not replace SSDI or a Social Security add-ons of $200 additional per month. The incredible great news is that Joe Biden's on focus to give you multiple stimulus checks. He wants to give you as many checks as so needed to get you through this pandemic. And he will pass as many bills or write as many bills until we solve the situation of the pandemic. That's really important because Dr. Scott Gottlieb, former FDA head, today said that he believes that national lockdowns could be coming across this country by March or April. Today, one of the Biden transition members said that, and I don't think I have the quote here. I had it before, but I think I lost it. Said that we could afford to put the nation on lockdown for 14. Oh, here I do have the quote. This is Dr. Osserlo, and he said that we could put the entire country on lockdown for 4 to 6 weeks, but prepay them with stimulus. Finally. Just okay. Finally, someone has their focusing guard in place. You know what we always talk about with second and third stimulus is that we don't want to go on lockdown and then wait for stimulus that isn't coming, and then hasn't arrived or is in the mail or being sent out, and then we're like, where is it? We're on lockdown. Hello, where is it? He's talking about that stimulus landing in your bank account ahead of time before you go on lockdown. This is the Biden transition doctor. We could pay for a package right now. Can I say that again? Let me say that again. We could pay for a stimulus package right now. Okay, so hopefully that's clear. He's not talking about next year. He's talking about right now. To cover all of the lost wages for individual workers, for losses to small companies, to medium-sized companies, or city, state, and county governments. We could do all of that. Now, let me make something very clear. If someone drops in the comments and says, well, I'm not included in that sentence, he means everyone. He's tried to be as comprehensive as he can in his language. So if you say, I'm a cow and I'm not mentioned there, he means everyone. We could pay for that all right now. If we did that, then we could go on lockdown for 4 to 6 weeks. Wow. Really quite fascinating. Now, the only thing you have to be focused on, because we're Purple Power, is that the amount you're paying us is the correct amount. We're not stupid on this channel. This is the Fight Edge channel. We do numbers here. We don't do stories or broad stroke adjectives or adverbs. We'll really take care of you financially for 4 to 6 weeks. Here's $4. $4, excuse me. So this is categorically incredible, great news. Next, the remainder of your EIDL grant. People have been asking about this, and I've certainly been wondering as well. Guess who leaves in January? Yes, Javita Carranza, the honorable, I'm not the only one who calls her that. The honorable Javita Carranza could be leaving in January. Well, is leaving. She is a Republican nominee, and Joe Biden will have his own SBA nominee, who will be confirmed by the Congress. And as the new SBA head, that person will be entitled to follow the provisions of the CARES Act, which Javita Carranza did not. And Chuck Schumer, who was talking today about a lot of other stuff, is among the people, along with Senator VP-elect Harris, about talking about paying the remainder of the $10,000 grant. Yes, there's all my wonderful EIDL viewers who did not get the remainder of their $10,000 grant, did not get their loans increased when they asked to have their EIDL loans increased, and now could see that coming to them. It does not require an act of Congress, because the congressional law is there. It just was not followed by Javita. All it requires is ensuring that the funds are sent out. And what does it need to get the funds replenished? It just needs a letter from the SBA head to Congress, say, hey, these are how many EIDL grants did not get the remainder of $10,000 grant. This is how much we need, and we can get them right out right away. And you could literally see it in just a few days. It's as simple as that. So for my EIDL grant and EIDL loan viewers, get on social media and start tagging Joe Biden and his transition team. Say, hey, send out this get an SBA head in there that will pay the remainder of the EIDL grant, because we're entitled to it. You see how we get through things together? And we just divorce ourselves from pettiness and bickering and negativity. This is incredible, great news. Coming up next is Becoming a Mitch, in which I go over more what Mitch's position is and why Georgia is making, Georgia's on my mind. Georgia on your mind? Sweet Georgia Brown? Yes. Georgia's causing a lot of confusion, and I'll explain to you why that's causing confusion. Bottom line is, it's nothing you should worry about. It's just causing a lot of pettiness. Stay tuned for that. Following that, 30 minutes after that, Street Stimulus. As always, stay informed, stay smiling. Go to the front channel, subscribe. I forgot to almost say that. Go to the front channel, subscribe, because no one's going to get you through this better, with more detail and more up-to-date information, breaking by the minute. Also, like this video. And, as always, stay informed, stay smiling, and stay about life for more.